Welcome to this week's version of the Horse Hooky Handicapping Podcast. I'm Jim Watkins.
I'm Keith Nelson.
And I am so glad Keith is here because I felt naked last Monday taping this. Is that okay to say?
No, you're not naked. You did fine. Good here.
So anyway, without Keith, with no playful banter going on, just the meat and potatoes of the handicapping. And boy, I missed you, Keith. I'm glad you're back.
I was promised a beer.
And you'll get one, a beer, maybe two tonight.
Awesome. Well, run down some of the stats that we have that might not necessarily have made it to tomorrow. This is good for tomorrow, Tuesday. Insert date here. What's it going to be tomorrow? 29th, 30th, something like that?
Tomorrow's the 30th, last day of the month. And my worst piece of handicapping last week without you, Keith, was I said the weather is going to cooperate. And I do believe I looked at the Indiana forecast for Wednesday. I ran over to Indiana Wednesday, and I looked at it, and that was forecasted to be in the 60s and sunny, and there was a good chance of rain here. So I think I did a poor job of handicapping the weather as we got pretty wet, didn't we, Alex?
Yes,
Keith?
yes.
It was pretty soggy on
You
Tuesday
are
night.
correct, the wise one, yes.
My handicapping, I had 4 winners out of 7, Keith. That's the
great.
good news.
I didn't know where we're keeping track.
Well, I did because I had 4 winners out of 7. So
Congratulations.
I would have brought that stat up had it been 2 or 3 out of 7, but 4 out of 7. But that's the good news. The bad news is the average payout was under even money.
Boom, 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 boom.
And I did not pick my horse in the last Bureau to win. I picked him second, and by golly, ran a big race off
Love
the
the
layoff.
slot.
The slot made a difference.
Mutter
for
was a
him.
mutter. Fodder was a mutter.
And yes, and apparently he is a mutter as well.
That's great.
So that allowed him to get up going to shorter distance, 5.5, and he had
Yeah.
a perfect trip, gravy trip, kind of a little slingshot maneuver up the rail.
A great ride.
Tremendous ride by Alex Mendoza, who I might add, week 1, Keith, I said he is an up-and-coming rider, riding with a lot of confidence, and will have a great year in 2024.
Absolutely, and he's doing that, and he's winning up north as well, like you are. Congrats on your last win this past weekend.
They're calling me Butter because I'm on a roll all of a sudden.
God, and you couldn't win a race up there until
Thanks for pointing that out again, Keith.
Yes, until I disparaged the heck out of your name, your family, and everyone else. Your son was sitting right over there. Now your older son's sitting here.
That's Alex.
I know.
Oh, okay.
So, look, it's an earthquake out there. It's shaking. But as soon as I said, wow, you're just having a little bit of trouble trip after trouble trip, then boom, boom,
The word turned, as they say.
It did. So now we're totally jinxing you. Let's get on to the Tuesday program.
Hey, last Tuesday I had 4 winners, but Bendezu had 3 last Tuesday, and Scotty Becker came in with 2 wins, and it was a pretty nice day of racing, except for the weather. I mean,
it still wasn't that bad. It wasn't all cold and everything, but the storms and, it's supposed to be really nice on Tuesday, so let's get to it. Juan Molina had a couple wins now. He has 5 for the entire meet. Bendezu, as you said, picked up another 1 on Saturday night. So did Arrieta, Balin, and Javier Diego. And Kim Sampson won a nice one. She seems to have a knack on, especially the Essen Price Illinois breds, to take them down at big money. She's a big money Kim. That's what she is.
She knows those horses. She gallops in the morning, exercises in the morning for Eddie, and that's why Eddie has her on several of them. The ones that she seems to get along with really well in the morning. And yeah, she does well for Eddie.
And she won on an old timer. Well, she finished second. Joey B ran a nice second.
That was my former horse. I used to have Joey B, and I liked him a lot. He has had a lot of success the last year or so, but sure did run a nice one.
Ralph Martinez on a heater like you are as well. He won a couple races on Saturday night. And then some people that haven't had a notched win yet. Manley, Essen Price, Amy won a race. Amy Nesbitt, Fernando Bahena did, and so did Joel Zawitz. He's doing very well.
He's
so
up
far
for
this
3.
week.
Yeah, Ralphie's on top of the standings for now. As you so wisely mentioned, Keith, he does start out really hot, and then Scotty will heat up and probably run down because he's got the numbers. Both excellent horsemen. And you mentioned Molina also, 5 wins. He had only 12 all of last meet. And he really worked hard this winter. I saw him out here in the cold, working hard, and it's paying off. That hard work's paying off for Juan Molina with 5 wins.
Anything you hear about yet on Alvin Ortiz and what his plans are?
I have not talked to him lately about it, but he is moving around. He is walking, but he's not back on top of horses yet, so that's still going to be a little while for him. But, I mean, he's making strides physically. He's moving around. He's out of a cast. So he'll be back on top of horses before you know it, and back in attack racing.
I bring that up because the horse that stumbled and went down and caused the accident, I believe, is in this card coming up.
Sand Mountain, I believe.
Yeah, and I put that one on top because I don't think that one's going to do anything, and it's our first race, so we'll go through them real quick. Talk about sprinters, field of 5 that are going 5.5 furlongs, and this very well could have been the best race of the day for tomorrow, don't you think?
It's a pretty nice race, and Sand Mountain I put second. That's owned by Hannah Schlink. Mm-hmm. She's a hard worker out here for us, galloping in the morning. Sand Mountain second, but I think Jack Van Berg has just got a little class edge. I used to train him too as well.
Really?
Had him for a little while, yes, and I think he's going to get it done here for Pete Scalzione. It's a little bit of a speed duel up front with him and Fast and Furious, but I think he'll go on. And like I said, a little class edge here. I got Fast and Furious holding on for third, but Jack Van Berg on top with Sand Mountain second.
And being at the only 5.5 furlong sprint on the card tomorrow, everything stretches out just a little bit to 3/4 of a mile after race number 1. I have a feeling that you are absolutely correct. That's going to do the extra 110 yards in shortness. Jack Van Berg's going to relish that. He's got to have the lead, and many of them do. But I went with Sand Mountain, who took Alvin Ortiz for a trip up there at Turfway Park. Victor Balin's aboard. I'm going to put this one on top, try to get a price home. It is not the morning line favorite by any stretch. I went to the 3, 4, and 5, Fast and Furious, rounding out my trifecta. Keep in mind also, as we go into the second race here, we do have a Slick Pick 7 carryover of $4,800 plus for tomorrow afternoon. The favorites are now 10 wins out of 28 starts so far this year. Who are we brought to by? Who is our sponsor?
Wasn't it something you bring that up? I was just thinking. It's FanDuel Sportsbook and Horse Racing, the Illinois HBPA, and the locally owned Taco Bell's on this side of the river in Troy, Columbia, and Waterloo. And I just recently buzzed through one of those Taco Bells, and you know, I stuck with the soft tacos, but the Mexican pizza and the beefy 5-layer burrito caught my eye, and I thought, maybe next time I will venture off of the straight soft tacos.
Drive through or go in. Your Taco Bell, owned by
John Maroney, locally owned Taco Bells. Our fellow horseman, John Maroney, owns many Taco Bells, 3 on this side of the river, Troy, Columbia, and Waterloo.
That's a beautiful Taco Bell. All right, let's go race number 2. We go $10,000 non-winners at 2, allowance optional claimers at 6 furlongs. Who you got?
Well, I went with the 2 horses that I believe been keeping better company. Keep Attacky's had a start this year. Mm-hmm. She stayed up in the, I should say he, stayed up in the 12-5, 17-5 ranks last year. So I think Keep Attacking has a little bit of a class edge. Tiz Wow, also from the Gabe Bertana barn, was running in the 2 life 12-5, 2 life allowances here. And I picked him second and brought Charted in third. Charted just won a 62.50 race up at Hawthorne. I won the same race yesterday with Secession. He ran a big race, winning by 8 and change. My horse won by 8 and change, but there wasn't a whole lot of other horses behind my horse yesterday. So Charter ran a big race on the slot at Hawthorne, but I don't think he beat the kind of horses that we're looking at here with Keep Attacking and Tiz Wow. And Keep Attacking had a nice second to start the year, and Tiz Wow had a tune-up up at Hawthorne in March. So I think those two will be ready for peak performances.
I went 1, 3, 5, 4 pretty much the same way. Charted, claimed by Ralph Martinez up at Indiana, and has that clunker up a little bit north, and ran, I think should be fit at the 62.50 level. Is very much going to be over bet in this 10,000 AOC coming up here. Race number 3, we got fillies and mares sprinting 6 furlongs. There are 5 of them exiting the same last race. So if you like to handicap, and heck, it's like stealing the questions from your math quiz, and some of the information is just hitting you right upside the head. Pick these horses because they ran well last time. Well, what are your thoughts coming into this?
Well, this third race is a new horse showing up on the scene. It happens to be one that I train, and I've picked her, Patty Gal. She really has not run very well since I've had her. And since I claimed her, we claimed her last summer at Ellis Park for $30,000. But I think this is a level that she can compete with, and that will build her confidence up. And should she show her ability tomorrow, I think she could go on to start running through those conditions a little better. But I think she has the ability to win this spot. There's not a great deal of talent in here. Horses that have had trouble breaking their maiden from multiple tries. I did back up my horse, Patty Gal, the one with the 2 Steve Manley's 2 Royal, third off the layoff. Continues to drop down the ladder as well from Illinois Maiden Special to Maiden 15 Open, and now the bottom Maiden 4,000.
Your horse, Patty Gal, number 1, dirt, not a problem?
No, I think that's probably her best surface, and I've reviewed everything about her to try and figure out how I can get her, get the light to come on with her.
Right.
And I think the dirt is her best surface. We tried her in a poly. She just didn't seem to be getting a hold of the poly over there.
Yeah, I went with the 2 droppers as well, the extreme droppers, but I took the flip-flop, the 2 with your 1 and 2nd, 2 Royal and Corey Orm drops, the 3 Janie Lee with a 7-pound apprentice, Rashawn Blanche, who's scheduled to ride up here, makes the 2nd start for she. 4 Got No More Tears, ran well enough over this track to recommend, I think, in this spot, but I did not put the 4 in my top 4. I went 2, 1, 9, and 8 with Gold Oak and Javi Diego and Harper Brianna bringing up 3rd and 4th for race number 3.
I went 1, 2, 5. So if I put the 5 in 3rd.
So we'll hit different superfectas then. We'll see. 4th race, we got another filly and mare special. So we'll take a look at this. These are for Illinois-bred fillies and mares, maiden special weights with a purse of 22.5 or 23.5.
22,000.
When we'll probably, if field of 8 holds up, we'll put another 2,500 in there for the field size bonus.
The starter bonus. You're right.
That's a good deal of change for this group. Who you got here?
Well, I'm going to give Air Jerry another chance. I picked her to run 2nd behind Too Much Tuesday. And she let me down a little bit, cost me an exacta, but she did hold on for 3rd. I think she'll run better. She was coming off a lengthy layoff then. So I would give her the nod here, Air Jerry. Then I went with the 6, followed up by the 8. Steve Fredley, this horse showed some good potential last year in a first out, a 3rd by a length and 3/4. And then had a tune-up to start the year up north at Hawthorne. And I put Scotty Becker in 3rd with Just at Midnight.
I don't know. Wildish, tough to leave off. I mean, you got Kim Sampson again, and an Illinois bred. We just talked about that probably 2 or 3 minutes ago. And I got to use the 7 in here. That's why I put Wildish, because she's ultra dangerous. She can take them around everyone. She can stick to the fence. She doesn't mind. She gets brave riding. I think Wildish could be a good upset special play as well in the Illinois bred maiden special weight filly and mare 4th coming up. I went 6, 2, 7, and 8. We got some of our favorites coming up in race number 5. We got a horse, Troy Ounce, number 2. The trainer is about to heat up, I think, as well for the 2 Troy Ounce. And we got one of our favorites we spoke about a couple weeks ago on opening day, D-Yank, who's on the inside.
D-Yank. I did pick him last time. He seemed to get a little far back in a 5.5, and it just didn't come back to him. Rider change to Emmanuel Giles, and I think that horse will be tough. But I got the 5 horse this time, Wildwood Ministry, Scott Becker coming in from Oaklawn, having raced over there, a little bit of a drop. I think that one will be on top, but I do like the 1-5 exacta, 5-1, followed up by the 9. Upbeat Melody.
Yeah, Wildwood Ministry. Just a little bit of a drop. Going to Illinois breds, and his race version is much, much better. The 9 Upbeat Melody for me, and I like the 2 Troy Ounce. I went 1, 5, 9, and 2. This is a $7,500 non-winners of the year 2024 claiming race. So wide open, and I think this is going to be one of the more strung out fields in this 6 furlong event on the card that we have. So 1-5, we agree on pretty much the exacta, not necessarily in that order. I like the 9 and the 2, and who you got back in that?
5-1-9. So Wildwood Society, D-Yank, Upbeat Melody. Steve Manley looks like he might be heating up. He won one in Chicago and also won one down here Saturday night.
How busy is that, just going back and forth all the time?
I catch myself not just waving at Manley and Becker when they drive by, but waving at myself once in a while, it seems like. Hey.
I feel the same way driving after a while. You see yourself in the rearview mirror, you're like, Who's that ugly guy? Yeah, it's the same thing. I agree. You know where the hot spots are, where to stop off and do your business, and then where to stop off and get your Taco Bell and stuff like that.
Without question, I'm thinking seriously about that 5-layer burrito thing.
We'll make every Tuesday from now on. Probably not going to happen. The 5-layer burrito Tuesday.
There you go.
Okay, it's a work in progress. Sixth race, fillies and mares again. Lots for the ladies to do. Pretty good looking group. Only 6 of them go into the post. $12,500 allowance optional claimer. Non-winners of 3 or in for the tag of 12.5. Tortuga Island is the mainstay for me in this particular.
I'm glad you said that because she's my best bet of the day, and I don't know how to pronounce it.
Really?
Tortuga Island.
Yeah.
That's my best bet.
You know, if you're not sure on how to pronounce something, I always found that Google will help.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well,
Tortuga Island is off towards, I want to say, Malaysia or something like that.
I did do the George Costanza. I just talked real low to cover my mouth. I believe it was Costanza who did that. Tortuga Island.
That was the
Tortuga Island.
That was the deaf lineswoman from the U.S. Open tennis championships. Great. I don't think maybe we can use her here. All right.
She showed some real talent last year at FanDuel, ran off the screen, and she was in some monster competition back in December down there at Oakland. She had a little time off, but had a few works here recently. I just think she breaks out of there, and she'll be tough to collar. I backed her up with the other Scotty Becker runner here, Lux Me, the 4-horse, and that's my best bet exacta of the day. So I think a 1-4 exacta, just go ahead and go cash your ticket then and go to Taco Bell.
I sandwiched your exacta into the sandwich superfecta. I used the 1-4 in first and last, sandwiching them with the 5 and 6. I used My Sweet Analyze with Rashawn Blanche, thinking the weight could be a little bit of an advantage. I was careful though. I think a little bit of a weight advantage does mean something to the 6 race participants going 6 furlongs. I don't think it matters too much going 5 or 5.5. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the further the distance, the more the weight plays into the advantage of that horse. Yeah.
We have one more. How many routers do you have in your barn, or potential routers?
Not many. I don't have a whole lot of them.
That's what you average out probably on this track the last couple of years. You see about when things get rolling in the next month in May after the Derby card, you usually see about 2 route races a day on the average. So we'll see how many we can get. I love them at my track now that I have a head-on viewer that will give me a proper angle of how, if a horse stalls out, dwells in the gate or refuses, then I can actually see it. That's a novel thing.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. Thanks to Greg up there, topwards as well, and thanks to International Sound for supplying that. Final race. We got some veterans in here. The bottom end claiming ranks for fillies and mares, and we have non-winners in 2024 or non-winners of 4 life, and you have not 1,
but 2.
Yes, this is the Jim Watkins happy hour for the 7th race.
I didn't pick myself on top here because I just didn't want to make it look like I was playing favorites, which I am.
So you don't even pick one of your 2?
No, I picked Smile at the Storm. I really like that effort. Max Quinones, that horse dug in, did everything but win. Life of Saturday just got up on the outside and beat her last time. Now it's 3rd off the layoff. She took a step forward the 2nd race. Pretty nice, decent effort the first time, improved effort the 2nd time. I think this was set up for a big race. Then I picked Helen May's Song to run 2nd. I think she'll be out there gunning it with Smile at the Storm from the beginning. Helen May's Song has a bad record last 4 this cycle, the last 4 races. But if you look, she's been steadied, bumped at the start.
Yeah.
So she's had an excuse basically every time. So if she gets a clean trip, a clean race, she will be right there against this group. And then, of course, Mini Dress, my little Mini Dress, she, as I said, when I picked her in the money opening day, and she didn't get there.
Well,
her numbers at FanDuel are pretty darn good.
She didn't have much of an excuse, did she? Did you look at that trip? She was kind of outside throughout and just kind of wandered about.
Just kind of followed the pack, stayed with the flock. But she'll be a little live for 6 furlongs. She's 4, 7, and 5 out of 23 starts, going 6 furlong. She likes the track, and she will be a fair price off of that last race, 25-1. If you're looking for a long shot play tomorrow
To get well.
if you're down money early and you're trying to get your money back, I would say Mini Dress was a nice across the board bet.
I went with you there. I went 6, 7, 3, and 2. I picked the top 2 like you did. Smile at the Storm, Helen May Sung. Then I backed it up with Viva Violence with Erdio Lopez. Good to see him back on more horses this year as well. And with 1 Templuna. Templuna is the only runner making the first start of the year in this last race of the day. And is another one that tends to be an also runner, loves to pick up some pieces and minor checks, but heck, they're going to make a check every other week. That's not too bad. You don't mind that sometimes.
I don't.
All right, we appreciate your attention span. I know we have short attention spans nowadays. We went on and on, almost 25 minutes worth through our speaking of Tuesday. This is day number 5 coming up. Why are my hands continually doing this? I don't know. But we'll see you again. I will be back next Monday because I get to stay over on Friday and then go home Saturday afternoon as opposed to getting home at 3 a.m.
You heard it, Alex.
Yep.
Yay!
I'll be back.
I'll be back. All right, people. Have a great racing week.